Hi, my name is Alyssa Brown, and I'm here today with Desmon Walker, candidate for City of Gainesville Commission Seat 1. Desmond, welcome.
Thank you very much, Alyssa. Joy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we will go ahead and jump right in then. If you'd like to start with your introduction.
Thank you. It's truly an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to have this conversation with you today, Alyssa. I'm Desmon Duncan-Walker, and I am a homegrown Gainesville girl. Gainesville means a lot to me. My family points back to pioneer citizens of Gainesville. We date back to some of those that were enslaved at the Hale Plantation. We were also a part of some of the individuals that escaped the massacre at Rosewood. We came here to Gainesville and started getting busy building businesses and becoming active members of the community. And it's been a real joy to be able to sit at the feet of people like my grandfather, who've been able to share a lot of the rich history and the rich past that Gainesville has, and how the family has played a role in some of that here. My family owns and operates Duncan Brothers Funeral Home that has been in business since 1953, but we've also had funeral homes in our family in operation for over 100 years. So the business community is something that we're very familiar with. It's something that I have a lot of respect for, and I'm looking forward to a really hearty conversation with you in those regards. I am a lover of community. I have had the opportunity to work in the city of Gainesville. I have created an organization known as the Gainesville Alliance for Equitable Development, which is focused on improving quality of life outcomes for all of Gainesville's citizens with regards to development in particular. And I'm just excited to have this opportunity to be a part of how Gainesville evolves and being a part of the change that all of our citizens need to see.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And we will go ahead and get started with our first question. It is, what do you perceive are the three most important concerns facing Gainesville, and what would be your top priorities if elected?
Absolutely. So right at the top of the list, I believe, is economic development. And when I think specifically about District 1, the district that would be electing me should I take that seat. Economic development has been an issue for a very, very long time. We see within District 1 the food desert. We see the disparities in terms of access to health care and a number of other issues that, frankly, this community has faced for decades. So if you ask me what the three main issues are, I would have to say that at the top of the list, the need for economic development in East Gainesville is right there up at the top. Specifically, I would like to hone in too on the idea of equitable development. And that cuts back to the organization and the work that's been done by the Gainesville Alliance for Equitable Development, really a deeper dive into how our communities evolve. So it's not just enough to say, well, we need a grocery store or we need access to healthcare, and so we're going to put up this urgent care, but really digging deeper into the impact of this development process on the citizens themselves, involving them meaningfully in the way that the community evolves. All of that cuts down to the core of what equitable development is. And given the amount of conversation that the city has had about this word equity, equitable development begins to take a front seat and a high priority on my list in terms of the things that need to happen. And then equity itself, right? It's
Duncan, you're breaking up. I'm not hearing you. I'm sorry. Your voice has faded out.
Such a
2 or 3
buzzword,
seconds.
but the reality terms really, oh goodness. Let me, got you. Okay, I've adjusted my volume here. Did that make a difference?
No, I think it's a technical thing because you're
Adjusting
frozen on
my
my
volume,
screen.
Amber?
Yeah, no, you're frozen on my screen, and so
Oh no.
yeah, it's one of those deals. Are you I'm not frozen, so I think, I mean, my internet connection tends to be pretty solid. You're unfrozen now. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No. No, trust me, we want everything to be clear.
Right.
Am I unfrozen now?
You're unfrozen,
Okay, so
but it's dragging just a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
That's
don't know
okay.
how to mitigate that.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
let's see, let me
but
think.
I promise I'll be more than willing to repeat anything you
Okay.
need me to repeat.
Okay, and so I can't hear you again. I
Development,
think,
and then I was wrapping up, I believe, with the last thing, which is equity in and of itself. Did you hear
okay, I
me?
hear you now, but your face is frozen. I'm so sorry. I just want to make sure this is good for you. Um,
Should I? Thank
maybe
you.
we should, okay, I'm going to
Should I
stop
sign out?
recording. Hang on, I'm going to stop
Okay, I'm
recording for a
sorry.
second.
Uh-huh.
And then, oh, I want to let me stop recording. Oh, pause, because
And so hopefully cutting it off and cutting it back on will resolve that.
that should, I hope it works. So if you don't mind, because it kind of happened in the middle of that question, if you
Mhm.
need to start with question one, I can just have them edit so you know that they get the intro that you did, and then we start with question one. So I'm going to reread it, and if you want to
Okay,
start answering that one, okay, all
start
right.
from the top.
No, I'm just for, yes, from the top for question one, because it
Okay,
started
all right,
breaking up in the middle of it. I just want to make sure we get everything. Okay, all
got
right.
you.
Okay, so we will jump in with question one, and that is, what do you perceive are the three most important concerns facing Gainesville, and what would be your top priorities if elected?
Absolutely. So economic development is one of the major things that I believe is really holding Gainesville back in terms of the way that it can evolve in a very fair and equitable way for all of its citizens. When I look specifically at District 1, it is very easy to see disparities that have existed for decades, literally. And to be honest with you, Alyssa, it's not for lack of plans. There have been previous commissioners who put forth plans for economic development that for some reason we have not reached back to, we have not dusted off, we have not taken into consideration. And I believe that's been a very serious mistake, not just because plans were made, but also because the constituents had given their okay and had signed off on the fact that these were the things that they wanted to see in terms of economic development in District 1. So economic development would certainly be at the top of my list in terms of priorities, and it's something that I do believe is a major issue in Gainesville. The next thing that I believe, kind of taking us a little bit deeper into the idea of economic development, is equitable development. And so that takes us into a deeper dive of exactly how our communities evolve and who's at the table with regards to making those decisions. Involving the community in the change that they want to see is something that has always been very important to me. I believe that that's the way that you ensure true equity. It's the way that you ensure true representation. So equitable development that is all about improving quality of life outcomes for all of Gainesville's citizens is the direction that I really would push for Gainesville and District 1 to move in. The final priority I would have is simply equity itself. Equity is a word that we hear a lot about, but unfortunately, the execution of equity has really been the challenge. So measurable outcomes in terms of the way we achieve this thing known as equity that we all deserve. That's something that I would move towards. That's something that I believe Gainesville needs to do, and that all citizens deserve a fair shot at equity in a true lived out experience.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to question number two. Ways to revitalize downtown have been debated for years now. Presuming we begin the new normal this summer, what actions would you like to see to jumpstart this effort?
That's a great question, Alyssa. And, you know, one of the things you're going to always hear with me is, because it's just the way that I believe in leading my life and doing my work, is involving the community itself. So when you look at downtown, and I was raised here, I remember when downtown was what it was 44 years ago when I was a little girl versus what it is now. I believe that in its evolution and in its growth, one of the things we cannot do is leave the business owners and the citizens of that particular area out of the conversation. They need to be made a very viable part of any plans that would move forward, and they need to have a say in what happens with downtown.
Thank you. Question number three. A national conversation around diversity and inclusion has been at the forefront over the past year. What do you believe would be the single most impactful action our community could take to increase equity locally?
Listen to the people. One of the things that the city likes to attempt to do is community engagement. But I will suggest to you, Alyssa, that we're failing with that. True, meaningful community engagement is not something that is happening. And here's why I say that. I'll use a specific example. I have been a part of conversations where developers have come to have community engagement experiences with community members. And there is a certain way that they speak to community. It is not a way that I deem acceptable. It is not a way that I deem fair, because a lot of developers, and I can't speak for all of them, but ones that I have come into contact with have spoken to community members as though their plans are a done deal. There is nothing that communities can do about it. You're just simply here to hear what I have to say and just accept my plans. That's not what community engagement or true inclusion is supposed to be about. And so I believe that the city of Gainesville needs to be very mindful about the way that it creates its processes, the way that it engages its citizens, and take a real look at what true inclusion means. We need, once again, measurable outcomes. We need to make sure that we're living out the true definition of this, and that our citizens are actively and meaningfully being involved in ways where they have some power, where they have some decision-making power.
Thank you. Question number 4. Despite efforts to increase pedestrian safety and reduce aggressive panhandling, concern remains high. What would be your approach to help solve this problem?
Well, the panhandling issue has been something that we've struggled with for a very, very long time. And so we can talk about a number of things. We can talk about the need to create more opportunities for jobs, for people to have opportunities at living wages. We can talk about a number of different programs and initiatives. I think that we have to dig deeper into that. I think that we need to dig deeper into outreach. I think that it's not enough for us just to pass by individuals who are panhandling on the streets. Once again, you will find with me that I am big on community conversations. I'm big on talking and communication, Alyssa. It's the only way we're going to cut down to the core of what the issues are and how to solve them. I wonder what a conversation, and this may sound radical, it may sound ridiculous to others, but this is how I think we solve problems. You solve them by communicating. So what does a conversation or an outreach effort look like to those who are in that position where they are panhandling? What does the conversation look like wherein you bring them into what is it that would help you? What is it? What kinds of resources would you deem beneficial? How can we help you out of this situation into something that would create a better way of life and a better quality of life for you? So once again, here I am back to my theme, Alyssa, which is always going to be involve the community and involve the people that it is that you're trying to target. You can't solve the problem if you're talking around the people that that problem involves. You must talk to them.
Thank you. And last question, we've gotten through this pretty quickly.
Wow.
I know. So question number 5, why should members of the business community support you?
I am a person, Alyssa, first of all, who is all about people. That's at the core of who I am. It's not only how I was raised, but I truly believe that when the Creator made me, it's what He poured into me. So people first, that's going to always be my mantra. But the second thing is I'm acutely aware of business, what it is to run one, what it is to be an employee at one. I've had the opportunity to work in a few different types of businesses, from small family-owned businesses to working for Miami-Dade County's Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. It was actually arts and culture there, but then to Gainesville's Park, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs Division. So I'm acutely aware of several different types of business models, business entities. I have a deep respect for business in and of itself, but most of all, I understand the relationship of business and community. And I think finding that successful marriage, understanding how to move through or work towards successful initiatives where we can make Gainesville a better place through our business communities is something that I not only believe in, but that I have somewhat of a mission to actually accomplish. So I believe that our missions are aligned, that I understand the business community, and I have a true heart for people and want to look towards ways to marry all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so we now are at conclusion. So if you want to give us your conclusion.
Alyssa, I have enjoyed this conversation. I am grateful to have had the opportunity to speak to our local Chamber of Commerce. For many years, I've had the opportunity to watch the work that you have done. I have for a very long time respected it. I look forward to ideally being in the position where I can work with you on a much more intimate business level to help Gainesville accomplish its goals of becoming a much more equitable place, living out the true meaning of that word. I want to just also say that this is a time where we have to be very intentional in moving about and through the community to help it be as successful as it possibly can be. It's no longer acceptable for us just to show up in communities when it's election time. We have to constantly be present. We have to constantly be working. Unprecedented times are what we're living in right now. And to get something that we have never had, we're going to have to do things that we have never done. So different types of collaborations, different types of ways that we can work together. We have heard for a long time thinking outside of the box, but we've truly got to live those words and be creative and be innovative so that Gainesville can not only survive a pandemic, but so that Gainesville can move beyond that place where it was well before COVID and move towards being equitable, fair, and the great place that Gainesville can and should be for all of its citizens.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, Alyssa, likewise.
All right, wonderful. Thanks, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Alyssa. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.